We are back with more My Southern Home, and I'm here with Kirby Barber Raleigh with Barber Cabinet Company. And Kirby, I'm so excited to show the space today because it's your own personal lower level bar.
It is. You had the pleasure to do the kitchen when we first did it, and we didn't have this done yet. So now we put a lot of thought into it, living here for years, and it's now complete.
Well, I think it's really fun for our viewers to see what you would do with your personal home.
Sure, absolutely. And people always ask too. They always want that, you know, what did you do? What would you do? So it's kind of nice to maybe give them a feel of what I did in my own personal space.
So walk us through this lower level area.
So originally when we moved into the house, had like linoleum pebble floor. It was very outdated. It had paneling all over the walls. It was very retro. So my husband and I had an inspiration of just kind of utilizing some of the items in the space to tie in a new item. So we decided to go more bourbon. He loves to collect bourbon, so we made it a bourbon bar to entertain all of our family and friends.
Well, I love how it looks like a true bar. If you would go to a restaurant, you have those built-in layers to display the bourbon, but then you also have the shelving on each side with the glass doors.
With the way that the space laid out, we were very limited on what I could do, but I wanted to utilize as much of the space as possible. So incorporating like the bottle risers, things like that was a huge part in this, just because I could actually display more bottles. We have a kegerator that's incorporated as well. Designs in Stone did our countertops, so we were able to, they did a little grinding and actually put the grate into the stone, so it was really cool feature. We also incorporated a wine cooler and a beverage center, and a bar sink.
Well, I love that you made it really mighty, right? So even though it's a small space, you can still get all the things that you want when you use professionals like yourself that plan it out.
Absolutely. We have so much storage to be able to utilize, and it's wonderful.
So what are some of the trends that you're seeing in lower level bars right now?
Lower level bars, it's still very dark colors usually. We do some of the lighter colors as like the natural white oaks and the hickories. We do have a couple of favorite finishes of those. But people love some of the darker colors. We have a few that we do a lot of, as well as some of the darker paint colors that we do. Kind of make it more of a kind of a manly feel.
Well, I've noticed too, when we're in a lower level, it feels cozier and darker.
It does.
And warm versus a wet bar upstairs where they're using more bright colors, they're using more natural stone with light finishes, and it's just a total different feel when it's downstairs versus upstairs on the main floor.
It is true. And it's a place to do something different. A lot of times people are like, don't I need to keep it consistent? No, you don't. As long as it's in its own space, you can change things up. You can change the hardware colors and, you know, the color itself of the cabinetry, the door styles, all of that.
Well, and you can be as elaborate or as simple as you want with your design.
True. And we do a lot of open shelving just to kind of keep it clean and simple. Glass doors, things like that to kind of keep it light and airy.
Well, one of the things that people need to think about too is even though it's a bar and not a kitchen, you need to know an idea of what you want in advance before they come see you.
Most of the time, yes, especially for new construction. A lot of times, if the people aren't actually finishing their bar immediately, or even if they are, we need to make sure that the plumbing's in the correct spot, that they have all the electrical ran for all of your appliances that are needed. And everything's different. Some people really 100% want a microwave. They want to be able to pop popcorn and things like that. Some have to have an ice machine, that's a necessity. So everybody's a little different on what their wants and needs are.
And you know, the best thing to do, and we've talked about this on our podcast that's going to be coming out soon, is that people really need to look at their house and they need to think about, what do I want in this space, and write it down, because so many people think about, oh, I want a lower level bar or I want a wet bar upstairs, but they really don't take the time to think about what they want that space to do for them until they sit with you. And then there's all these things that they haven't thought about, which is not necessarily a bad thing. That's
right.
Why they went to you. But it's a smoother experience if they do think about some of those things in advance, don't you think?
Yes, having inspirational photos, things like that, and at least knowing where they want to go is always helpful. What do you want? What do you not want? What do you like? What do you not like? Those things are very critical to kind of get the design process started.
And that's a great point, Kirby, because no matter if you have a large space or a small space, you really want to be able to maximize it. And when you're doing a custom bar, it can be whatever you want.
It can be. And, in our situation, you do have enough space you could have put an island in, but I didn't want that feel. I wanted it to feel more like a built-in unit, like an old pub. And we also wanted a sink. And to be able to get a sink in an existing home, we would have had to have gone through the concrete to be able to get that into the island. So that was a no-go on this situation.
So is there a ratio when it comes to how high a bar should be?
Most people in the basement want bar height, which is about 41 inches tall. They want the taller stools versus more of the counter stools that they use in the kitchen.
So that's something that you should really think about in advance, is how tall do you want your bar to be, whether it's a lower level or if you have a wet bar area located upstairs.
Yes. So again, in our situation, I made the whole unit tall. There are people that do the same exact situation if they're limited in their space, but some do have the step down situation where it's counter height and then it steps up to bar height.
All right, well, thank you so much, Kirby.
You're
really
welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back with more My Southern Home in just a moment.